What's good, people? These are 3 stocks in which I am actively buying right now, and we'll get into exactly why as we go along. So to start off, let's not waste any time and let's get straight into AMD, or otherwise known as Advanced Money Destroyer. But don't let that distract you away from the potential gains within this stock currently. So it has now just broken out of this regression cycle here. It could potentially definitely fall back down, as we have seen with this stock in the past, of course, but I think that this does now look to be slightly different. If we do look at a Fibonacci retracement for this stock from its recent high to its current position, then we will see that we are now actually in a slightly bullish area, but that doesn't really work for this case, so we will only take that with a pinch of salt. So AMD currently right now is definitely rallying. It's got a lot of momentum behind it for sure. There's definitely a lot pushing it up currently. Oh, I did not mean to move that. So it has just broken this level of resistance here, and this has now turned into a significant level of support, but it is now struggling to push past this $130 range. And if it does push past this, then there is a possibility that the momentum is most certainly on its side. But these next few days are going to be very telling for AMD. If we see it consistently close above this 130 level for the next coming days, then there is a high possibility this is going to go parabolic. So what is actually pushing AMD up at the moment? What is the catalyst for this rally? Well, there has been the immediate release of the Instinct M1 350 chip, and there has been a preview of the M1 400 chip, which is going to be released later on in 2026. So this announcement has basically pushed AMD up, and people are starting to realize that, well, it's not expected to be the replacement for Nvidia, but it could definitely and is certainly currently the second best, and looks to be as if it's going to be positioned in that place for the foreseeable future. Furthermore, we are seeing price targets now actually going in the favor of AMD for once. So we have seen Pippa Sandler see an upgrade to overweight, raising its target from $140 to $140 from $125. So there is definitely an upside there. And if we do look back here at what exactly the average analyst price target is, well, from where it currently is, it is actually only 1% above where we currently are. And to say that that was here, that's probably to say that it is currently where we are. So if that made any sense, it probably didn't. But if we do look at what the maximum estimate is here for this year's growth, we can see a potential 55% gain, and there is a minimum of 24%, essentially indicating that there's more of an upside, but maybe not as much as people would originally think. So if we do actually look here to see my price target, I've actually got this stock to be relatively undervalued currently, but still quite overvalued. So my formula here accounts for a lot. It accounts for earnings per share, PE, WACC rates, retention rates, probability of a positive, negative day. It goes on forever. But essentially here, I get an intrinsic value of $141, which is pretty much where the average analyst is pricing this in at. Actually, it's much higher. It's placing in AMD to be around here, if you can see my mouse. So there is an upside, but not a massive upside. So for a momentum play, that is where I will be aiming to get to, but I won't be placing a stop at that position, because there is a high probability that once the momentum is behind this stock, it will just continue to rally. And to really back that up, you just really need to look at their forward PE. So they currently have a forward PE of 33.9, and when you do compare that to its peers such as Nvidia and their current PE, we can see that this is at 46. Obviously their forward PE is going to be much more favorable at 30. Actually, it's not that different, 33.78. So it's fair to say that this stock looks to be quite a good buy right now, especially if the momentum does actually gather onto its side. But there is a lot of speculation if that does manage to happen. We are now actually seeing this stock closing above the 200-day EMA, so that could most certainly be a massive factor in which will just drive this stock up, as this is where a lot of the hedge funds and big money tend to actually price into this stock. So it could definitely go up from here, but there's a lot to say that we're going to see some selling pressure, because this stock really doesn't like when it hits a level of resistance as we have seen today. It will be interesting to see if this does actually manage to close above this, but I really do kind of doubt it will. I will be impressed if it does. So next up, looking at Micron Technologies. So this is a stock in which has also seen genuine momentum in the last couple of weeks, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down a massive proportion currently. If anything, it's actually continuing to speed up. So there is a significant level of resistance here of $125 for this stock. If it does manage to push past this, then I think it's fair to say this stock could absolutely go parabolic from here. So it is in a long position on the MACD indicator. And if we do look at all of their EMAs, it is well above all of these. So this is a basic example of what you want to see in a momentum stock. And not only that, but if we do actually look at a price target for this stock, then we can see that right now, on the high side, there is a potential 40% upside. So I have a price target for these next 12 months for a momentum buy-in to basically close at $185. But there is a possibility that it will reach that, but I do think that is quite a far stretch. But again, that's just what my formula chucked out at me. So why are we actually seeing this stock rally apart from it being undervalued? Well, the US has seen massive investment plans within this field of work. Micron unveiled a massive $200 billion commitment to ramp up domestic chip manufacturing. Furthermore, this company has now started to ship the HBM4, which is a high bandwidth memory device. These samples have been sent as 36GB stacks for AI data centers, showing enhanced performance over previous generation products, with Citi reinforcing this by upgrading its rating and raising the price target to $130, where the current price is at $125. It's fair to say that we are basically at that target, which seems to be pretty much where the mean is. So I think it's fair to say that this stock is actually possibly going to be chasing its all-time highs if it does manage to break through this level of resistance at $125. And if it does, again, it's just going to shoot up from there. It's really hard to say if it will break this, but judging by this current momentum, I think it's fair to say it most certainly should. And if it does, then it will be chasing these highs, and from there it could just go above and beyond. But again, it is a speculation game, but if you do look at the indicators and really understand what you're looking at here, you can quite accurately predict where this is supposedly going to be heading. This stock is currently at a PE ratio of just below 30 at 29, and if we do look at the forward PE for this stock, then it is all the way down at 11.2. So that basically indicates that there is, especially long term, a lot to gain within this stock, even if this momentum play doesn't play out. But I do genuinely think that judging by their financials and their growth rate, we can expect this stock to just really outperform and give investors something to really want to buy into in the coming months. So for me, that's exactly why I think MOO is a brilliant play for not just a momentum stock, but also a long-term hold. So next up, and finally for this video, we're going to be looking at Mercado Libre, which I probably cannot pronounce, so I'm just going to go off its ticker and say Melly for the sake of this. So this stock again looks to be massively undervalued. It does have a average price target of a potential near 18% upside. This was obviously at the start of the week, so now that mostly looks to be like a 15% upside from here, and there is a maximum here set at 31%. So off the face value, that might not look ideal, but for a momentum play, I actually have quite a high price target here. So you might be thinking this is a bit ridiculous, but this is just where I price in a stop for a potential momentum gain if the stock just jumps up a massive amount, and this is where the stock is actually predicted to go in my formula. So what can we really see here? Well, judging by all of these metrics, I have an intrinsic value set at 4,600, with the current price being in at where is it? It's currently at 2,437. There is a massive upside according to this intrinsic value formula. Of course, the analysts aren't actually following that to the extent in which I have put in, so there is definitely a massive pinch of salt to be taking with this. I'm not saying it will reach that, but that's just what my formula spits out. And sometimes this is really bearish, and in this case it is incredibly bullish. So it's worth showcasing to you guys. Ignore this line because it is just something in which I drew for dramatic effect, but I do think that it will correlate to that. I don't think we're going to reach this price in the next 12 months, but I do think there's a high potential that this stock will reach that by 2027. I know that's quite a long-term play, but I do think there is definitely a lot of potential within this stock. And not only do I think this, but according to every single analyst, there is also a potential upside within this. So it is now just above the 100-day moving average. It isn't actually above the 200-day EMA, so we would really like to see it close above that in the coming days. And if it does, then I do think this stock could potentially rally. Now, there isn't actually any sign of potential momentum within this stock. Unlike the other two, there is definitely still a possibility, but it doesn't look to be as if there's any clear indication of it. But if we do zoom out to a week chart, we can see that there is still a lot of momentum behind this for the last couple of weeks. Not couple of weeks, last couple of months. The last couple of weeks haven't been ideal for this stock, but that could indicate that people are starting to feel as if this is oversold. And if we do look on a week chart, we are above all of the EMAs, suggesting there is still long-term momentum behind this stock. But maybe in the short term, there may definitely be a lot of downside. Well, not a lot, but certainly a fair amount. So why exactly am I eyeing up this stock? Well, they've had a stellar Q1 performance with this surging 37% to 5.9 billion. This is just incredible for this stock, and the net income rose 44% to 494 million, beating the expectations. With the gross merchandise volume growing by 17% year over year to $13.3 billion US, whilst fintech user numbers climbed 31% to 64 million. It's fair to say that there's a lot of momentum in their financials. So what could actually be leading the momentum in this stock? Apart from that, well, this stock was named the IBD stock of the day on June 16th after rebounding off of its 50-day moving average, as you can see here. So it's fair to say that there is quite a lot of big money behind this stock if it's bouncing off of it like that, indicating that from here, if we do follow the trend of what we've seen previously with this 50-day, we could actually see a potential upside within this. This stock has received strong momentum signals, with Zacks ranking coming in at number 2 with a style score of a B, indicating that this stock looks to be a good buy for a momentum buy-in, with notable analyst groups such as Barclays pricing this stock in at 3,100 for their price target, putting this in at a ranking of overweight. So there is a lot of institutional backing behind this currently, with the analyst being on its side in an overwhelming majority. Maybe not to the point in which I'm pricing this in at all the way up at 4,000 odd, but there's definitely still a potential big upside within this stock. Maybe not within this year getting to this level, but definitely a long-term play for 2027. So we are actually seeing this company grow year over year, well, projected to grow year over year at 35% for this next 12 months. We are seeing relatively consistent price surprise rates apart from this quarter here, and we are actually seeing the forward PE priced in at 47, which is still higher than the others in this video, but I think it's relatively justified with their financials and their trajectory. So quickly looking at the broad market conditions, because we really do need to understand if this is a good time to be genuinely buying into the market. And looking at the VIX, this is currently at 20, which shows that there is obviously a lot of volatility today. For me, that is relatively high, so I might end up leaving this a day or two to see if it calms down. But obviously, we're seeing a lot in the world right now, which is going to be influencing exactly what is going to be happening within the US market. It's basically a hold situation. You really want to see where this heads in the coming days. On the S&P, we're seeing this today very stable. It is not exactly going anywhere, it's just going sideways. Again, it's really hard to call where we can expect this to go in the coming days, but broad market wise, I think it's relatively scary to be buying in at the moment, because it's relatively uncertain. The Fear and Greed Index is priced in at 60, and the Shitter's PE, last time I checked anyway, was 37. So that essentially indicates markets look overvalued, but there's also a lot of FOMO. So where the markets broadly will go, who really knows? But if we do look at these stocks, these look like they could be, for the most part, invincible to these. Maybe not AMD, because AMD is definitely volatile. But if we do look at Micron, there's a lot of volatility here, and not a lot is managing to slow this stock down. So With that being said, none of this has been financial advice. I'm not a certified financial advisor, so you do have to do your own due diligence. This is just my own personal opinion. If you have enjoyed this video, please do consider hitting a like and subscribe. Join the stock analyst group. It's just my mini empire in which I'm building here, and it will be great for you to join. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.